It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, everyone, welcome to the Mayor's Report. And you know we have a Mayor's Report in Pottsville and in Hazleton with Mayor Cassett in Hazleton, and in Pottsville with Mayor Dave Clews. And we are in the Pottsville Mayor's office with Dave Clews. Remember, my friends, if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to make about what's happening here in Pottsville and the area, sam@ssptv.com is my email. I know when I'm out someplace, if I'm at Vito's Coal Fire Pizza Place, one of the great restaurants in this area, people say, hey, why don't you ask the mayor this? Why don't you ask the mayor that? Other than we're getting his haircut, there's other questions that you're asking me. So email them to me. Sometimes I may forget to mention it to the mayor, but we're more than happy to respond to your questions. And remember, Comcast, we're here every day from 7 to 11 p.m. Been here for over 25 years. We are your social media station, my friends, with over 21 local neighborhood programs. And of course, in the greater Hazleton areas, Channel 13 and 513. In Wilkes-Barre, Channel 92. Mayor Clews, how are you?
Good, Sam. Good to see you again.
What a summer we're having, huh?
I'll say.
It's really nice and hot. You know, it's funny because, you know, remember those cold days when you're freezing and you're chilling? Oh, I hate this weather, right? So I can't wait for the warm weather. Now it's, oh, it's too hot. I'm sweating, you know, like, so what do you want? You know, how do you find the hot weather?
It's pretty tough, you know, with what I do when I'm not mayoring. You know, I'm inside in a nice air-conditioned building, but also it's like, can you come out to my car and listen to this? Yeah. And on days like today, you're like, let me give that some thought.
Could you put it a little louder so I can hear from inside?
Is the air conditioning on in there?
Yeah. Well, but speaking of the warm weather, I guess the pool is doing great.
The pool's doing fantastic. You know, there's so many things that go on out there. We do swim lessons in the morning, and it's gotten so busy, we're now going to be offering swimming lessons in the evening. They do both group and individual, so if somebody wants private lessons, those can be arranged. It's just been really busy out there. I stopped and visited the other day, we have a great staff of lifeguards and high school kids that work our concession stand. So I went out, spent some time, walked around the pool, thanked them all for being there for the summer, and you know, they all enjoy being there, and you know, they're just a great team. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I think you have one of the nicest pools around. You know, and we've been up there a couple of times, as you know, and I just think it's beautifully laid out, and it's well equipped, and it's well managed, and it's well protected.
Yeah, they really do a great job out there with the lifeguards. You know, our parks department does a wonderful job every year keeping the pool prepped and ready. They spend a lot of time. I know this year they were super proud of how green and lush they had the grass, and then we had that heat wave come through, and because look, it's baked.
Yeah.
But you know, they work awful hard at it. We have a nice sized pool. We have some pavilions they rent, so if you'd want to do a child's birthday party or something special, you can contact the pool. This year we actually, besides accepting cash to come in, they've been able to set up a system, and they now accept credit cards. So always a little progress happening, and like I said, a great staff that has a good time.
So let me ask you, how long are you mayor now?
3.5 years. Is it? No, 2.5.
2.5 years, okay. Looking at, the town and looking at, as a mayor, I'm often asked this question, like, Sam, what do you do as CEO of Samson Productions? Of course, my son's the president now, and, my role changed a little bit. But looking at the role of a mayor, okay, in this town, and how you've been extremely proud of this town. You've said it even before you were mayor, when we were doing the car show and we were doing other things, even when you even thought about becoming mayor. What are your reflections as where you sit as a mayor of Pottsville, Pennsylvania?
It's still my hometown. I'm still awfully proud of it. I think we still have a lot to offer. I think we try and grow and move forward. We've just done a ton of technical updates within the city hall here, and again, with the ultimate goal of being able to disperse information to the citizens of Pottsville. Real nice camera setup and mic setup in council chambers, so when we do a meeting, we can present stuff well. We can get it out on the internet to keep them informed. I think we still have a great bunch of neighborhoods around town. We keep our ears open to what people are looking for. Pickleball, give you a prime example.
Yeah,
Pickleball has become a huge thing. We took one of our playgrounds that had actually kind of two basketball courts on it. One court wasn't as nice as the other and as busy, and we turned it into a very, very nice pickleball court that now there's lines waiting to get on and play. There's a league established. I've personally talked to some people who came down from Mount Carmel to play there because it's so well done. They just put in a job, Johnny, so that was the last piece of the puzzle. It is highly secured. It is all cameraed, so we keep it secure. We keep an eye on it, and trying to do those things. They just the east side, the Greenwood Hill playground, playground I grew up in, and still see every day. Just put all new equipment in that. So we're trying to keep the neighbors and neighborhoods happy. We have a great bunch of code enforcement people are out there that trying to get citizens and businesses and everybody to take care of their properties, because if it's not them and a neighbor lets their property go, it doesn't do anything good for the neighborhood, drives property values down and so on.
As you functioning as a mayor, you have to work with people. And you have to communicate with people. And sometimes things happen in the city where you're not aware of. It could be from another department, etc. And of course, it always goes to the head. If we're showing a show or one of our,
it really doesn't roll downhill.
No, exactly. So sometimes someone will watch one of our programs, our local shows, because we're doing local there, and they'll say, "How does Samuel Lesante allow that, to happen?" Well, first of all, I didn't know about it, and if it was something that's derogatory, we will address it. So in your case, you have to be on top of everything, and the buck stops with you. But yet, sometimes people don't know the interworkings of how these things happen. How do you handle all that?
It is a little different, especially for me being a business owner, because when you're working within the confines of City Hall, there's processes that it has to go through. So where if I tomorrow don't want to sell blue speakers, we don't sell blue speakers. That would take 3 months to happen in City Hall, because now the department that's in charge of speakers would have to tell us their inventory, tell us why they don't want them anymore, and then it goes to council and was voted on to get rid of the blue speakers. So that's one of the things I still have to adjust to. I'm but let's make a decision and get it done. But there are other departments that sometimes when we're talking about the police department, they do a lot of things that the street department works on. When somebody calls and needs handicap parking in front of their home, or realizes that I just noticed myself today that the playground signs, aside the street next to the playground I pass every day are getting a little bit old and actually faded. And I only caught it because I've seen some people zip by at speeds. It's like you realize there's a playground here, right? Neighborhood. Trying to, keep those departments all working together, and the things you don't think about sometimes in a mayor's seat, where you also don't want to step on a supervisor from another department's toes.
And that's always
so. But yet we have a pretty good team. The supervisors here, we all have our moments, but we all tend to work together and get the job done.
How long have you been in business?
Oh, myself, 24 years.
Okay. So you've been in business 24 years, which shows you something. We've been on over 30-some years, so at least we must be doing something right. So when you look at what you're doing as a mayor and you have that common sense factor, all right, and politics, I think, it does play a picture sometimes, but I think sometimes what I've seen throughout the years, This is over 6,000 shows I'm doing. Dave, I've interviewed people who have been blatantly lied to me, and didn't mean well except for their own agendas. And I've seen a lot of great people. All right, and the sad part is sometimes the public are misfed and misled. And that's the sad thing that I've seen, in the many interviews I've done, how politicians are only concerned about being a Democrat or being a Republican, instead of saying, look, what can we do for the citizens, okay? And I say shame on those people. I've seen them for many, many years. I've seen our school board in Hazleton many years ago was political. It was a disrupt. Now we have the greatest school board, I think, in the state of Pennsylvania. Why? Because they're concerned about the students and the parents and education. Don't you feel that way where you sit as the mayor now?
Oh, yeah, you do have to realize that there are politics involved. I learned something a long time ago from an old boss. He said, because I've always sold something, he said, don't ever lie to a customer. He said, and you want to know why? You can't remember them all.
That's right. Before we go to break, your police department, you're up to how many right now?
We're up to 17, and I just swore in 3 new officers within about the last 7 to 10 days.
Good.
That's great.
That is really good.
It is very, very difficult today to find people who want to be police officers. We've seen the really bad times when it was defund the police department, and all the negative things said about police, and there's good and bad in any job position. It's unfortunate when it gets into a police department. So recruiting has become very challenging. We've found as many ways as we can to try and increase our force. We want to get the numbers back. It's good for the protection of the city. It's good for the protection of our police officers.
Yes.
And we want them all to have a good family life, so they have some time. And when you're short-staffed, somebody's working overtime.
Yes. Now, we're going to go to break. Coming up, my friends, we have the Health and Animal Control Officer, Andrew VanArsdale. We'll be back right after this. Well, welcome back to the Mayor's Report. We're here in Pottsville, Pennsylvania with the Mayor's Report. You heard from Mayor Clews, and of course, we do the Hazleton Mayor's Report as well, Mayor Cassatt. Joining me now is the Health and Animal Control Officer, Andrew VanArsdale. Am I saying that correct?
VanArsdale.
VanArsdale. So, you have an interesting job.
Oh, yes.
Because, you in animal control, you go in, you inspect restaurants, and you also have, you were saying about hoarding. Okay, that's another whole thing. Tell me about, your position in general. What do you do?
In general?
Yeah.
Well, you pretty well summed it up there. I deal with all the animal issues within the city. I've dealt with wildlife issues, distemper infected skunks and raccoons. I've dealt with stray cats and dogs. And usually with the dogs, they're easy to get home if they have a collar or a microchip. But without those two things, they usually wind up sitting in the kennel till somebody claims them.
So, do we have a problem with animals running around the town? I mean, like.
Oh yes. Oh yes. There's been at least one a week for the past 6 months for dogs and stray cats. I get reports of them at least every 2-3 times a week. So it is a problem. All the SPCAs are full. I even deal with that professionally. Just because I'm the animal control officer doesn't mean the SPCA has to take the dog from me. Yeah. So I'll call up Hillside and Ruth Steiner, and
two great
honestly,
places.
8 times out of 10 I get told they're full. And I don't hold that against them because they're taking care of the county. I'm taking care of the city.
Yeah. What do you think? So what happens then if you can't place them in?
I hold them at the city facility.
You do.
And then I personally take care of them until we're able to find them a new home or foster situation.
Wow. Do you have to euthanize any of them?
No.
Okay. That's a challenge.
Yes.
So why is it that these cats and dogs are running? Is it that people just let them in the streets? Or
Some people let them go. Some of them are the hoarding situations, like I said before. Family members who haven't had contact with somebody for 10, 20 years, and then that person sadly passes. And then they show up and that person had 27 cats in their house. And I hate to say it, but usually the answer is just leave the front and back door open and we'll leave and come back. And then now you have 27 cats on the street. Everybody knows where they came from, but because I wasn't there and witnessed the situation, I can't press charges.
wow. So what do you do? What do you do to prevent this?
Ideally, to prevent it, we have the cruelty laws in place, and hopefully somebody, if somebody would see a situation like I just described, they would call us immediately so we can respond to it, because we cannot press charges on hearsay. So if somebody could call it in and tell us that it happened the previous day, but that does me no good.
What animals are you mostly running around the town? What are mostly cats, dogs? Or,
Cats and dogs.
yeah. Any other animals that are
I had a strange report of a bearded dragon by the high school.
a bearded dragon?
A bearded dragon.
Did you get it?
No, somebody else found it apparently. It was on Facebook that they found it and they were going to give it a home, so I just left it at that.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about skunks? You have any problem with skunks?
We've had distemper and rabies infected skunks and raccoons coming into the city. And that's another reason for the animal ordinance, is because these animals are scavengers. They will go where the food is easiest to find. So if you have a dish of food on your back porch, that infected animal is now going to come to your back porch for that sustenance and possibly infect the other animals of the area.
So these ordinances are very important.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you find the people receptive to these particular ordinances?
It's a mix. It's a mix. Some people say, great, it's about time the city's taken the initiative. Other people are saying we should completely repeal the law entirely.
Wow. You probably have your hands full sometimes.
Oh, very much.
You do it by yourself when you're collecting these animals?
Yes, sir.
How do you do that?
Well, it all depends on the
You
situation.
don't go, "Psst, psst, you little pussy, come here." They don't come running.
Sometimes that works.
Seriously?
Sometimes that works. If it was a previously domesticated animal, you
Whoa.
can get it to come to you pretty easily.
Wow.
If it's a feral cat, I have to leave a live trap.
Yeah.
Every time. Live trap. Tuna works best.
Yeah.
So
How about dogs?
with the dogs,
You
it's
said they were a little easier.
a lot of dogs, they're easier, larger. It's always easier to catch the larger animal.
Yeah.
Aside from that, they honestly get called in a lot quicker. People see the dog, they're worried about it. I get the call immediately. Hey, there's a dog running down Market Street. I'm worried it's going to get hit by a car.
Yeah.
Can you come do something about it? And I'll admit, half the time, by the time I get there, somebody else has secured it for me.
Yeah.
So
Do you go out patrolling, or do you wait for the people to call you and tell you that there's animals are running away?
I wish I had the time for a patrol, but I don't.
You have enough going for you.
Yeah.
Because you also do restaurant inspection.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So what does that entail?
Well, with that, you go into a facility and you monitor how they're running and the sanitary conditions of the facility in general.
What do you look for, Andrew?
Well, specifically, I myself, like I said, I look for the sanitary conditions and how the facility's operating. I like to watch how the manager runs things. I like to see how the chefs are cooking, and I like to make sure that they're following procedure. Because most of the time when somebody's going to get sick from a foodborne illness, it's from lack of following time and control processes, not from the fridge being slightly dirty. So it's usually TCS or ready-to-eat foods that get people ill, more than unsanitary conditions. Now, mind you, unsanitary conditions are a major concern in itself.
How do you determine those unsanitary conditions? I mean, what background do you have, or what experience do you have?
Well, I was a night shift manager at a McDonald's out in Oklahoma for 2 years. I've been ServSafe certified since I was 19.
Okay.
I'm very
So
familiar.
you have the qualifications.
Yes.
All right. So you just go in there, and do you do random checks, or
All health inspections are random and unannounced.
Yeah. So you could walk in any restaurant.
Yes.
Okay. And you could go back into the kitchen or wherever they're cooking, and what do you look for?
Well, like I said, at that point, I'm looking for sanitary conditions and how the kitchen operates. So I will stand there for 10, 15 minutes and I will watch the chef cook. I know it makes them nervous, and I'm not trying to make them nervous,
yeah, I
but
understand.
I have to see how they operate. You got to watch and see, here's that little slip up. Oh, he touched the lettuce with bare hands. You can't do that. And as with everything, I like to do first times a warning. So I saw you touch that. Please don't do that. Use a glove. Use tongs. You know, educate before you prosecute.
Yeah. Do you do like you do randoms? But I mean, like, do you? Does anyone ever call you and say, hey, look, you know, this restaurant is...
Oh, yes. I've had several reports of foodborne illnesses. I actually had one 2 months ago, which I found to be feasible, but with that, nothing really gets done with my... I went out and I corrected the issue, and the restaurant is in compliance now. But with that, if the person would choose to go civilly against that restaurant for any reason, I cannot offer that restaurant any backing because the findings were feasible.
Have you ever gone into a restaurant, okay, and you saw it was so bad that you just closed it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
I've done that 3 times.
3 times. So what did you see that was that bad that you, because you said normally you give them a warning. What the heck did you see? They'd say, well, we got to close this thing down.
Food stored on the floor, food improperly stored on the shelving. So we're talking about raw cut vegetables that are just stored on a wire rack that hasn't been wiped down in probably a year. A refrigerator that is absolutely disgusting. Meat juices on the wall, juices on the shelf. And one thing a lot of people don't know is there's a little disease called listeria that loves to live in your refrigerator. If your refrigerator is dirty, you probably have Listeria aeruginosa living in it right now.
You watch your mouth, okay? Listeria what?
Listeria aeruginosa. It's a virus that will live in your fridge.
And what does that do?
It's actually one of the most common causes of foodborne illness in the United States.
Oh my goodness. And if your refrigerator is not cleaned, this could happen.
It likes to live in refrigerators. 40 degrees, between 20 and 40 degrees is where Listeria loves to live. And that's where your fridge is, between 20 and 40 degrees.
So how do you prevent this?
You keep your fridge clean. There was actually a food recall not that long ago with an ice cream company, and the finding was that the curtain at the freezer had Listeria aeruginosa on it. So when they were carting out the ice cream, it was going onto the lids.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
So so when you saw those really bad conditions, you just, it's closed.
This is closed.
Okay, and what do they have to do to reopen?
They need to clean the entire facility to the city and state standard and get a reinspection to be certified to reopen.
One thing I like about what I'm hearing from you, Andrew, is that you're fair.
Yes.
You know, you don't go in there with any, pre-agendas and, et cetera. It seems like you're a fair person.
I've been afforded the luxury where my position isn't political.
Boy, aren't you lucky, huh?
Yeah.
That is absolutely. We talked a little bit about that with the mayor. It's isn't that great to be able to do your job without any political bullcrap?
Yes, it's very great.
Yeah, it just and it's. No matter how many times we could preach it, Andrew, and I could talk about it until I'm blue in the face, they still have a way of lying to the public, and it's just disgusting. But I applaud you. I hear a lot of great things about you. The mayor has the greatest respect for you, and I can see why.
Well, thank you.
What would you like to tell our audience in terms of keeping anything clean or food or anything?
Honestly, the one thing I would like the public to know in general is if you put a collar on your animal and put a tag on their collar that says, "Hi, my name is Lucy and I belong at 123 Market Street," that is the best way for me to get your dog back home to you immediately. And a phone number does a lot. Yeah. I actually just had this happen 2 weeks ago. A husky got out, and she didn't even live in this area. She lived up in Marion Heights.
Ooh.
She lost her husky while she was looking at a home here in Pottsville. I found the dog, and she literally put that tag on his collar 5 minutes before I got a hold of her.
Isn't that something?
It's great. It's the best way to get your dog returned to you.
Oh, that's good. Well, Andrew, you keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks for coming on the show, too. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Mayor's Report. I'm Sam Lesante. My friends, remember ssptv.com. All of our shows are there. Our YouTube channel, plus our website. On the website are all the shows we produce, including the Mayor's Report. Well, learned a lot about health and animal control in the city. It's amazing what happens. I guess sometimes, Dave, you got to scratch your head, and you have a little bit of hair up there. So do I. Oh, the hair's coming off at the end of the year. We know that. We'll talk about that event. So, in closing, what do you have to say?
Well, we have a lot of things happening coming up in the city. The Great Pottsville Car Show is coming up in August. We'll be just getting through with this coming weekend with Red, White, and Blue Yingling's event with Lee Bryce here, all day long music event. There's a lot of things happening downtown with coming up more towards the fall. They have Oktoberfest in September, which is correct. We have, and actually the same weekend with Lee Bryce here, we have Ron Jaworski in from the Eagles. Big push this year and into next for the Pottsville Maroons. It'll be the 100th anniversary, is it 200th anniversary of when the Maroons lost the NFL championship. So big press for that this year. Ron Jaworski's a big supporter of the cause, so that's why he's coming to visit us.
How's the car cruise coming?
Car cruise is going well. Pretty much, left the consulting role. The Humane Fire Company is doing their thing themselves. I still get a call now and then. But they're doing a great job, and it continues to grow.
Yeah. Nothing like the old times. I mean,
no, it's not the same.
I really wish you would go back to those old times. Okay. Well, Mayor, it's always nice talking with you.
Always enjoy it, Sam.
You feeling okay, health-wise?
I'm doing okay.
Great. Okay. Remember, it's the Mayor's Report. We do two of them, my friends. Hazelton Mayor's Report with Mayor Jeff Cassett, and of course Pottsville with my friend here, Dave Clews. Any questions? Any comments? Sam@ssptv.com. We'll see you next time.